क्या काम कचरे का है? नहीं। अच्छा, तुम्हारा नाम शैलेश है ना? तुम तो कुछ काम नहीं करते वैसे? जॉब नहीं है ना अभी? कर रहे हो क्या? अच्छा अच्छा। अच्छा। ओके, गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन।
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good
गुड
morning,
मॉर्निंग।
sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good
गुड
morning,
मॉर्निंग।
sir.
होप
Jai
एवरीवन
Shri
इज
Ram.
गुड। जय श्री राम। होप एवरीवन इज गुड। यस और नो?
Good
So
morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
I hope
Yes, sir.
you guys have explored some basics about different commands and the homework on TCP UDP different ports. Yes or no? Very frequently asked question. Okay, slowly we are actually preparing for the interview, as well as knowledge is also important, right, from real-time work perspective. So this training is not only for knowledge, right, not only for interview, right, it's for real-time work. So these are the important things. We are not discussing anything which is not required. It's not a college or I mean generic training like college going people, like college we what we study, uh, very less amount of knowledge we use in the real-time work, right? But this is professional training. Means we are not going to learn anything which is not required on the real-time work, right? So whatever we are discussing, that means it's important. Get in mind, it is not just for knowledge, but it is required from real-time work perspective as well as from interview perspective, right? So last time we talked about a firewall, right? We talk about a firewall work, same as security guard in the digital network, right? What security guard works on physical network, same way firewall works on the, आप स्लो कर देना इसको, ये वाला फैन ऑफ कर देना, फैन स्लो कर देने वाला, आवाज दोनों फैन स्लो कर देना, साउंड बहुत आ रहा है. हाँ, same way, you know, your what your firewall works on the digital network, right? So whenever any connection comes in, firewall is a layer 3, layer 4 device, right? That means it understand it open up the header part, right? And it read the layer 3 and layer 4 information. That means IP address, port number, and protocol. Get in mind? Then it check in the ACL access control list, right? Which is we have dynamic and static. That means dynamic list is updated by the vendor, right? From which company you have bought the firewall, it will be updated by the vendor, right? Static list means static policy, static rule. We can create ourselves. What we want to allow and disallow, we can define on the static list, right? You know, if you, for example, you have purchased a license, you have subscribed for 1 year for firewall license. For example, you have bought the firewall from FortiGate, right? You have purchased 1 year subscription. You have bought a hardware firewall, right? So if you 1 year over, right? 1 year over, firewall will still continue to work without any problem. You can still use the firewall. The only difference is if you are not renewing license, right? Your signature will not get updated. Latest means the previous IP will not be removed and new IP detail will not be updated, as well as your operating system firewall operating system that it is used, right? It may have different vulnerability, different weaknesses with time, right? So those patches means updates will not be released by the vendor. That means your firewall is prone to be compromised in that case, because attackers are very intelligent, right? They always find a new ways, new weaknesses on the network devices. So if you are not renewing the license, you'll not get the updates. Yes or no? Similarly, you'll not get the signature also. Get it mind? Some people are getting very happy. Oh, I got the pirated version of Windows 10, crack version of Windows 10, right? It's very important. It is not just an operating system that you got it for free. You have to ensure that if you have got the operating system, it should get the updates. Just for the sake of saving some money, if you got pirated version of your operating system and your operating system is not receiving any update, right, then you are in loss, because there might be some weaknesses, some vulnerabilities with time attacker might have found, right, or may find with time, right? then in that case, if your system is not receiving any updates, that means your system is vulnerable. Vulnerability is the technical word that we use for weaknesses. Vulnerability means weaknesses, right? Get in mind? So if a Windows, for example, operating system is not receiving updates, means not receiving any updates, that means it is vulnerable. Vulnerable means it's a weak. Get in mind? It's a weak. Attacker might have found some way, right? Get in mind? And some Windows settings, some Windows configuration, which attacker has found, there's a weak hole, right? In that case, attacker may take the advantage. So Microsoft research team, or any vendors team from which you have bought particular device, they always do some R&D. They have some penetration testing team, vulnerability management penetration testing team. They always do the research. In case they find any any weaknesses, vulnerabilities, they release the patch. Yes or no? You get the update, right? In Windows update. Update is not always the feature update. Many of the time, it will be a security update. Security update means many of the vulnerabilities, weaknesses will be fixed by upgrading the version. Yes or no? In mobile also, after certain version, for example, you bought the mobile, then after 2-3 version of Android, after 3-4 years, they will stop delivering the updates. That means neither feature update nor the security update. Understand? Windows 7 recently last year got end of life, right? Yes or no? End of life means Microsoft will no more release updates for Windows 7. Yes or no? If you are still using Windows 7, that means your operating system, your Windows is vulnerable. Vulnerable, right? Out of 100 people, 200 people, some people might be still using Windows 7. That means your system is vulnerable. There are a lot of known vulnerabilities are there. Microsoft is no more releasing update. So when I'm using the word end of life for any digital device or any operating system, when we use this device has been end of life, that means the vendor will not release any update. Get your mind? Understand? Clear? Right? So why we require to update, right? Similarly, in the companies also, you will have some tools we call vulnerability management tool or vulnerability assessment. VA, vulnerability assessment. What we call as VA, vulnerability. You might have heard this word, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Many of the people, some of the people might have heard this word, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Right? Your vendor, however, your vendor have their own vulnerability management team, which does the research and they release in the form of patches, right? But along with the vendor, there might be possible that in your devices you have installed some software, some tools. They may have certain kind of vulnerabilities. Apart from that, these vendor, for example, firewall you are using, right? Maybe vendor has not yet identified any vulnerability, but it is still having, right? So it's a compliance requirement even. It's a compliance requirement. Government says that on the regular interval, you have to scan your network. You have to scan whole your network. That means all the devices which are connected to your network, you have to scan those devices like Windows devices, Linux devices, any operating system servers, application databases, network device, security devices. All the devices which are connected to your digital network should be scanned periodically. Means on the regular interval, monthly, quarterly, half yearly, yearly, should be scanned. Scanned means to find out any vulnerability. Yes or no? That means you are home, but you should see regular interval. If there are any weak hole or something, you have to patch. Get a mind? That process is called vulnerability scanning, vulnerability assessment, or vulnerability management. Get a mind? Vulnerability scanning. Scanning means we have to scan the network. All the network device, security device, servers, application databases, we have to scan on the regular interval to find out if any of the devices or any application which have been installed on the device having any known vulnerability. Now, using which tool we will install, we'll scan this. How we can scan this? I cannot log in and see, okay, is it vulnerable? As a manual, we cannot do that. There are tools we call as vulnerability assessment tool, VA tool. Either you call as VA or a VM or vulnerability scanning tool. There are tools such as Nessus. You have Nessus. You have Qualys Guard, Qualys, right? You have Qualys. You have Rapid7, Nexpose, right? Rapid7 केवल एक नया टूल आया है अभी, IP360, Nmap तो बहुत बेसिक है, Nmap तो बहुत बेसिक है, corporate we do not use, but Nessus, Qualys vulnerability, IP360 is from Tripwire, IP360. So these are some of the famous tools.
QRadar,
Qualys, Rapid7, IP360. These are some. There are some other many tools are there, but these are some of the leaders in the market, right? Like Nessus is now become tenable. Nessus has become now tenable. Nessus word also you can use, but tenable, it has been tenable. Qualys, Rapid7, IP360 is from Tripwire and Map. So these are some of the tools that we use for vulnerability assessment, right? What they do is, these companies like Nessus, right, Tenable, they will have research team, right? Their full day work, all the time work is to find out the vulnerabilities, right? They have research team who does R&D to find out if, for example, they're targeting Windows now, right? In the Windows, they will do R&D and they will check if they can penetrate the Windows device on their own lab, right? If they are able to penetrate, then what makes them, what open window they have found using which they have penetrated the Windows particular device. Okay, this particular port is open, port number 405, which is SMB port, which have been open, using which we got inside. Get in mind? Then there is a vulnerability that SMB port 405 should not be open for outside people. That's a vulnerability in your network. That means you should close it on your firewall. 445 port number, right? For example, now in Windows they have penetrated and they found that one of the application that is called as AnyDesk application, which have been installed, using which generally you take the remote access of your system. AnyDesk, right? Now VS scanning team is able to take there are some vulnerabilities, some weak holes, and using this the vulnerability scanning team is able to take the remote access of the system without authorizing. Directly they are able to take. That means there should be some vulnerabilities. So these R&D team, this research team of these teams find out. They have the penetration tester who find out, who always do the R&D 24/7 and check it out from which device, which application, what vulnerability they are having. You know what I mean? Then they will release. So they have tools, Nessus, this Qualys and all. They will put those weaknesses on their table. They have library of weaknesses, vulnerabilities. They will have library of vulnerability for different devices. For Windows devices, there are these 100 vulnerabilities. For Linux devices, this 200 vulnerability. For Cisco firewall, this vulnerability. For Fortinet firewall, for this vulnerability. For this particular application, this vulnerabilities. Get in mind? They will have a table of vulnerabilities, means weaknesses. Get in mind? So now this Nessus tool, if you have bought, right, a real time, whenever they have vulnerabilities, they will release it, and your Nessus will get update recent vulnerabilities. You know what I'm saying, right? So they will categorize the vulnerabilities also. They will categorize it. Okay, this is high severity, critical vulnerability. This is critical vulnerability, means using which attacker can take the remote access or attacker can get the backdoor. Get in mind? These kind of vulnerabilities they will categorize as critical. So based on how severe it, they will categorize critical, high severity, medium severity, low severity. Higher the impact, higher the severity, critical. Get it? So in this tool, they will update the vulnerability, right? Now you have this tool. Now against this table of vulnerabilities, you can scan. For example, Windows, you scan. Now using tool, you enter the Windows IP address or host name, and now the tool will scan whole system against these vulnerabilities, right? If any vulnerability, for example, particular port number 445 is vulnerable, then it will send the traffic on port number 445. And if it is working, that means it's open. It will check, okay, this vulnerability is there on the system. If it is not able to enter, that means this port is full. This is not a vulnerability in the system, right? Similarly, again, this all vulnerabilities, it will throw one by one, it will check. Whatever pass, it will show it has the vulnerability. Whatever do not pass means that vulnerability is not there. Get it mind? So it will give you the list of vulnerability present on your all the systems. Get it mind? You come to these are vulnerability present. Yes or no? In Windows system. So step by step, for example, now we are scanning Windows, then we'll do the Linux, then we'll do the network devices and security devices. Yes or no? 100 of devices, 200, 300 devices, it can scan on the same sort. One sort only it can scan. One sort also it can scan. It depends. I mean, you upload all your devices list, right? Because it is not a one-time activity regularly, once in a month or quarterly, half yearly, yearly. We are doing these scanning activities, right? We'll onboard all the devices in our scanner, so that one click only you can select okay network device checkbox, right? And click on scan. We get the report. Vulnerable, for example, Windows scanning you have done. You got the Windows report. Okay, these all vulnerabilities having. Your tool will give the Excel sheet on which it will categorize the priority also, severity also, critical, low severity, with medium severity. Then there is a SLA. Now, once you get the report, those vulnerability has to be patched, means fixed. For example, this particular Windows TLS version 2.0 is enabled. But vulnerability management tool has found 2.0 has vulnerability. Attacker can trick the remote or something that it can do. And the patch for this is to upgrade is to TLS version 3.0. This is the upgrade. Okay, this is the upgrade that you have to update it to 2.0 or 3.0. Then on the vulnerability is written, okay, this particular device IP address, this vulnerability is there. And resolution, this is high severity, and resolution is you have to update 2.0 to 3.0. Solution will be also written. Get mind? Or if Microsoft may have already released the update to update it. See, sometimes you don't have to do the manual activities. If you download Microsoft update on which Microsoft itself has upgraded to 3.0, means manual setting you don't have to do many times. Once you update, install the update, automatically as a part of update, it will upgrade. So if Microsoft, there are many chances, right? Microsoft has already released the update, but you have not updated. That is the your system is vulnerable. Yes or no? So in this, it will suggest either you upgrade to this version from Microsoft update only, or you do the manual patching. This activity is called as patching activities. Patch. Your wall is weak, right? Your cement is coming out, the material is coming out. So you have to take the material like mixer and you have to patch it. Otherwise, it will be weak, right? Same we call as patch word here. Vulnerability scanning. After that, we have to do the patching activities. Understand? So you will share this list. For example, Windows vulnerability you have. You will share the list of vulnerabilities to the Windows team by categorizing the severity, critical, high severity, low severity. So critical vulnerability will have the high severity, and they have to be patched as soon as possible. So there is a SLA for that. Once security team will assign critical vulnerabilities, right? Then within 1 day, within 2 days, the respective team has to patch it. So you know, for high severity, medium severity, low severity have the least priority. Means not critical, like least priority. So the vulnerability management team will use the tool to scan the devices. They will get the Excel report. They will review manually, and they may recategorize also. After that, they will send the list to the respective owner, administrator. Firewall related firewall team, for network related network team, router switches related, for server related server team, for Linux related Linux team. Yes or no? For database related database team. So now they will send the list of. So they will send the SLA also. Everybody knows what is the SLA based on the criticality of the vulnerabilities, severity of the vulnerabilities. Then after that, they will send the list, and solution is also written on that. Get it? Solution is also written on that. So what happens is in the Microsoft, especially in the servers, Microsoft, they have a tool called a patch management tool, SCCM. Means, for example, there are multiple servers are having same vulnerability Windows server. Get it what I'm saying? SCCM. This tool is called a Microsoft Patch Management Tool. SCCM. This is called as Microsoft Patch Management Tool. Using this tool, because you have 100, 200 of servers, right? How come they will do this manually? Yes or no? So this is centralized tool patch management tool. So whatever device have the vulnerabilities, they can get the list of devices, and whatever they want to upgrade, they can push the upgrade using a SCCM tool. This tool we call as patch management tool, or this tool we can install any application, we can upgrade any application using this tool. Get it? I mean, using SCCM tool. So whatever Windows update comes, or whatever we want to change, make the changes, we can do using the SCCM tool. Get it? I mean, it is not only Windows, but if, for example, any server, you have any application, third-party application installed, like Adobe Reader, Google Chrome, Event Viewer, बोलते हैं क्या बोलते हैं viewer करके application था यार. Anyways, any desk or any application that you have, right? So those applications may also have some vulnerabilities, right? So those applications you may have to upgrade manually also. Maybe particular application is lower version you are using that have some vulnerabilities, and recommended is higher version to patch those vulnerabilities. So they may have to do this manual activity as well. That I mean, however, for installation and upgradation of any of the, this can be done by the SCCM tool as well. This upgradation can be done by the SCCM tool also. That I mean, either you do manually or you do it through SCCM tool. That tool we call as Microsoft Patch Management tool, right? Similarly, Linux, you can do some shell script, some scripting you can do, right? But for a critical device such as firewall, your SIM also that will be using, right? It might also have vulnerabilities. So respective team has to fix the vulnerabilities. Security team is scanning VM team, vulnerability management team will send the list of devices, solution also, how to fix this vulnerability, then they have to patch. Understand? So vulnerability assessment team has this is the only work. If anybody working on the vulnerability management team here, they will have the better understanding what is the daily work they are doing, right? Salary you'll get good, but this is the only work that you do. You'll have vulnerability management tool, NSS, Qualys and all, right? So you will onboard the devices, add the list of devices. You will do the scanning periodically. Once you do the scanning, you'll get the list of Excel sheet of the list where you are defining severity by tool only. Then you will see the respective team, ask them to patch it. When they will patch it, they will say, okay, these all devices have been patched. Then again, you have to do the retesting. Retesting to find, again run the scan. But yeah, we cannot trust. We cannot trust blindly, right? We have to retest again whether those vulnerability has been patched or not, or is still existing. What is still existing? Team, we have found that these devices having these vulnerability. Maybe some have been patched, some has been not been patched. Still having this vulnerability. Again, we'll send the list of. Again, they'll patch. Again, we'll do the retest. If they're not responding, we'll escalate to the higher management, to a manager, and then higher management, because this is related security, right? Security is very critical. Cyber security is very critical things, right? So everybody should give the priority. So in case they are not responding, we can escalate to the manager. If manager not responding, to director, right? In higher level. That's the only work of vulnerability management tool. Playing with the tool, running, scanning, rescanning, again rescanning, taking the follow-up, right? That's the only work. So I have given the whole idea about vulnerability management, right? So in this training, you'll get the access. We have separated for vulnerability management from NSS, but in this class, we have introduced a self-paced. Means on the previous batch, I mean, on the regular batch, regular SOC people who are the part of regular SOC training, they will get the access to the NSS vulnerability management training, right? So that on which we have covered how to install this tool, how to configure it, right? How to scan, how to get the report, right? How to take the follow-up, everything real-time work we have configured so that you can write in the 𝐬𝐬. Because many of the time, once you go work on the SOC team, right? Apart from the same and other tool, you might have vulnerability scanning tool also, management tool also. So it will add value in the 𝐬𝐬 that you have experience on vulnerability management tool as well, right? That's the whole work I'm giving you. Now your funda is clear, right? Now the training you will easily understand. If you go through any other videos on YouTube or somewhere, you can easily understand, because what I have described in last 10 minutes, right? You will not get it anywhere. Like just a brief summary, right? Many training will start installing, start describing, but everything what you do, right? If we describe in 5-10 minutes, everything we can summarize, right? Then you have the whole idea, you'll understand everything further. What is remaining? Now you got an idea, okay. First of all, you have to download the tool, then you have to install the tool, right? Then you have to get the list of devices, you have to add those devices, then you have to do the scanning, then you'll get the report, right? The whole work. So I was telling, I came on this step by explaining you that a firewall also, if you are not renewing license, that means you'll not get the updates. Update means you will not get the patches. Update means patches, security patches, right? Maybe there will be vulnerabilities, but you will not get the patch. As well as new ACL update, list update also will not be released. In that case, there might be new IPs which are blacklisted, which are suspicious, but firewall IP list will not get update. Get your mind? Clear, everybody?
Yes, sir. Sir, penetration testing is like the vulnerability, right?
चलो penetration testing बता देता हूँ. Penetration tester, वैसे मैंने बताया है एक वीडियो में अपने. I have explained you about one of the video. You watch the video. What is SOC, work of SOC and penetration tester? I'm giving the brief idea here, but one of the video I have explained you what is the work of SOC and what is the work of penetration tester and which one is better from career scope perspective. So what happens is penetration tester. Penetration word itself suggests something has been penetrated. Penetrated means, you understand the English meaning of penetration?
Digging. To break in. To break in.
Digging down and going outside. If I'm trying like this, it's not being penetrated. If you come like this, it's being penetrated, right? हिंदी में बोलते आर पार कर देना.
In हिंदी में
हिंदी में आर पार करना उसको बोलते penetration, right? Get it, mind? So penetration testing. Penetration means somebody, if somebody attacker try to access and he gained the access, that means he penetrated your network. That's the reason it came inside, right? So it means attacker is able to penetrate your network. Yes or no? So before attacker, so attacker will penetrate the network if your network is having some vulnerabilities, some weaknesses. Yes or no? So attacker will take the advantage of the vulnerabilities. See, taking the advantage of vulnerability called exploitation. If you the attacker had exploited the vulnerability. You are having vulnerability and attacker has exploited it. Bum ko phod dena. You have bum and somebody has done the blast, right? So you have the weaknesses and attacker has taken the advantage of that weakness, right? That is exploitation. Get your mind? So what happens is, if there is a vulnerability, attacker can take the advantage, means exploit the vulnerability and gain the access and penetrate the network, right? So before attacker penetrate the network, if we have someone who can try to penetrate our network, we call it ethical hacker also. Penetration testing with ethical hacker. Ethical hacker means he will not be a hacker. Ethical means not actual attacker, right? Penetration tester, we call it ethical hacker, right? So now this person, we can ask this person, bhaiya, we might have some vulnerability, you might not be aware of that. You do one thing, you try to penetrate our network, right? If this person is able to penetrate, that means attacker can also penetrate. Yes or no? If this person, which we have asked to penetrate a network, right? If he can penetrate, means attacker can also penetrate. That is the reason we have asked him, bhaiya, do some penetration testing. That is what we call it testing. This person is not to take the advantage, right? Not to steal your data, but it is doing some kind of testing. Test him. Let me test it. If your firewall have a vulnerability, let me scan. Let me scan the firewall, get the vulnerability, and try to penetrate it. Means penetration tester will definitely must do the vulnerability scanning first. First of all, he will find a vulnerability, right? That is a word VAPT. We use the word VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Even penetration tester also, first of all, they will find out the vulnerability, right? Then only they will penetrate it. The certain words come together: vulnerability assessment and penetration testing, VAPT. Get it? So now this person we have asked, right? This is not an attacker. You call it ethical hacker, penetration tester, right? He will do the scanning, find out some weaknesses, and then he will penetrate the network. If he will penetrate, that means attacker can also penetrate, right? So we understand, oh, penetration has been done. Okay, this is the vulnerability. Then attacker, you have taken that advantage. And this is, and resulting you have penetrated. Then we'll patch the vulnerabilities. We'll fix it before the attacker penetrated, right? So that is the advantage of doing penetration testing. Get it, mind? And penetration testing is mostly performed by the person or the company who is not at all aware about the network. What firewall we are using, what devices we have, what are network IP address, what port number are open, right? They are not having any idea. They should not have. For example, if I am the part of this company, right? I'm already working on this company. If I try to penetrate my own network, does not make any sense, because I know the in and out of my network, where is the firewall, what is the IP address of firewall, what is the IP address of router, how many router we have, how many Windows devices we have, which version we are using. So if I does the penetration testing myself or my team, does not make any sense. Yes or no? Because attacker do not have prior idea about your network. He collect the information. Yes or no? Similarly, this person should not have any prior idea about your network. Get it? He should collect the information on his own, find out the vulnerabilities, then take the advantage and penetrate it. That is the reason penetration testing team is always performed by third-party vendors, third-party companies, not by our own company. Get a point? That is the reason. That is the reason. If you talk about demand, that is the reason. SOC team, SOC means every company has the demand of SOC. Required in the SOC, this would have centralized team. But every company does not require penetration tester. Yes or no? Because penetration tester is not done by every company. It is by a third-party vendor like service provider. So always you'll have this kind of penetration testing requirement for service provider who are providing penetration testing service to other companies. So only few company which have service provider which will have the requirement of penetration testing. Not all the company which have the requirement of SOC. SOC work 24/7 to monitor the whole security posture. Yes or no? The work is very good actually. The work is very exciting for penetration compared to SOC. You do R&D, you use your logic and everything, right? Because it's kind of ethical hacker. But the end of the day, you work for, if something which have the less demand in the market, even require more skill, but less demand, resulting growth will be also less. The package also will get less because less demand in the market. Yes or no? Something which have more demand will have the better growth. That is the reason the work of penetration testing is more challenging compared to SOC, more logical. But the other thing is, you'll not get much growth financially because less demand. Only service provider mostly are using penetration tester. Every company will do the will give the project to outside vendor to perform the vulnerability penetration testing. Vulnerability management, your own team will be having most of the time. Service provider can also do that, but many of the company will have their own vulnerability management tool team. Get in mind? That is the difference between the penetration testing and SOC. In SOC, most of the company will be having as per the compliance requirement, but penetration testing, no. Understand? Clear? Clear, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Which one is
Guys,
better? SOC analysis or VAPT?
दोन्ही नाही त्या कोपऱ्यात पाहा बरं एक कोणती कधी
There is a noise. Who is making noise? Who is
लढी
I think Rahul. Hello.
काय द्यायचं तुला
Let him move in waiting room. He is not at all. He is not at all listening to the class. Guys, if you keep the numbers unmuted, not listening to the class, I'll have to move you to the waiting room. In that case, you have to disconnect and reconnect. It's a punishment, a small punishment. Yes.
Which one is best for the job? SOC analysis or VAPT?
Now you decide yourself. You work for money, right? I mean, I don't understand why you're asking this question after even explaining. I said penetration testing will have the less demand, SOC will have the more demand. right? Which field has the more demand will have the more package. So now you decide yourself which one is better. So you want me to say this, which one is better, then only you understand. I already explained the difference, right? More use, majority of the company will have the SOC, but not every company will have this penetration tester team. It will be done a third party, will have less demand in the market. Now, if somebody less demand, then you understand which one is better. My explanation itself reveals, right, which one is better, which one has the better demand, right? Because at the end, everybody is working for money only. Yes or no? Are you going to work just for the sake of you're passionate about the work? Then only you will work. Eh? I don't think so. If anybody is working because just they have passion and they're not looking for money, I don't find such people. If you are such people, that means you are definitely a different person. Yes or no?
Yes.
You're from some other planet.
The SOC team is needed for not for IT, right? Even it is needed for other sector also, right? Not dedicatedly
In the
for
first session, I explain you, right? Not only IT or finance, whichever companies are keeping the data on the digital format, on the server, on the storage, right? All the companies now you see have the digital, their website, all the digital work they are doing, right? Means they're collecting such information. Of course, they have to ensure that security tool has to be deployed. This would have SOC team. It's a compliance requirement also. That's the reason, being a SOC team, you are not working on only IT or finance, banks or IT companies. You may end up working with pharmaceutical, construction, hospitality, mean big hotels also you might work working as a SOC team, right? Big hotels also have SOC team, right? So any industries, whoever have their business on digital, they required this cybersecurity team, right? Many of the industry which were not a part of compliance, so this compliance, SOC compliance, they're also governments are making them compliant. The recent attack reveals that not only IT and finance, but no industries are safe now. Recently, somebody has said CRT pharmaceutical industry, which are less aware of cybersecurity, which are the hot target of attacker. I think yesterday I put in my status, right? If you have seen that nowadays pharmaceutical industries are hot target for the attackers. Why? Because these pharmaceutical company does not have much awareness about security, right? And attackers are taking the advantage.
But sir, nowadays all companies are shifted in cloud.
So cloud security, not all. You should not use the word all. You have to be specific. You should say that companies are moving towards cloud. You should not see all companies are shifted, right? This is the wrong word. We have, whenever we speak, right, we have to be very specific. That is also one of the technical things, but the important thing for your career perspective. Whenever you speak, you have to be very specific. Whenever you go to an interview also, you have to be very specific. What you are telling, that should be correct. I will do something, the everything, something, more thing, remove these words, right? You have to be very specific. When you discuss any technical things, we have to very specific about words. That's again one skill. Get it, mind? Especially I'm telling you, in India we have this kind of habit. चीजों को गोल मोल घुमाने की habit है. Means, I mean, we are not very straightforward. We are not, to be honest, I'm saying that I'm seeing people, I have taken many interviews, so I know that most of the interview that we take from people, these are not very word to word. These are not word to word. If you ask them, if you ask something, they do not know the word to word meaning, word to explanation, they will do this kind of thing. The whole scenario will explain, right? So here, generally, it's fine for people, but when you give the interview for, especially for US, UK, Australia, right, other countries, the interviews are very strict. Even though you answer, means they accept word to word. Get it, mind? It means we have to be very specific. This is actually right skill, right thing that you should do. Means we have to be very specific. Whatever being asked, you should answer, right? Do not give the whole scenario which has not been asked. What happens is, generally we here in India, I'm talking about in India, what we do is, if interview asks something, if you don't know, okay, I don't know. If you ask something, some other question he asks, you know it, right? He's asking, what is the port? What is the port number for this thing, right? For example, then we people start explaining all thing. What is port number? What is protocol? Whole thing, whatever you know, right? To justify that I have full knowledge. We try to patch our previous question. The previous question we are not able to answer. Now this question we have full knowledge. They try to explain all the knowledge they are having, right? But in some specific interview, we'll see that interview accepting word to word. Means what have been asked, same only you answer. Nothing the whole story. Who is not in, who is not on mute? Darshan.
No, sir.
You are not muting. Say anybody is not in mute. If I see the unnecessary noise, I'll have to put you on the waiting room. Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
So you say, attackers are focusing more in the healthcare industry, which I totally agree. So apart from ransomware attack, what are the major kind of attacks that have been focused in the healthcare industry now?
See, I mean, if I start explaining this, there will be a whole class move diverted toward those discussion, right?
I mean, well, you can just give us, one or two like typical examples.
There are so many.
I
mean,
attention.
Hey, it is not something that there will be a specific attack for, for pharmaceutical. What kind of attacks can be done by typical companies can be the targeted for pharmaceutical also, right? Recent attack has been come like ransomware, but it does not be the only ransomware, right? There are so many attack cross-site scripting. You have DDoS attack. You'll have you have SQL injection attack, right? There is no always specific attack for certain industries, right? Because the work is digitalization. They will have their web application, right? Where people are upgrading their accounts. They are having some application where they are taking the detail of their patients, right? They will be having some account. That application can also be targeted. Yes or no? So there is no specific attack. Recent attack has revealed that some ransomware attack happened on pharmaceutical company. It does not mean that the only attack. What kind of attack comes for other applications, other companies can also be targeted, for the pharmaceutical also. Okay. So last time we talked about, let's come back on the same topic. Firewall, right? So we understand that.
Sir, I have a question.
9.0, yes, 2.100. Yes, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
So, can you please explain what is attack and how they will attack? Can you please come?
What is attack? Okay, I will tell you. On the next.
Sure. I need to know the.
What is attack means? See, attack is nothing. Attack means
unauthorized access.
This is attack. If this breached, we call as attack. What is this? Let me explain you. If any of this parameter is not meeting, we call as attack. Cyber attack, compromise, right? Being a cyber security team, we have to maintain this. Being a cyber security team, we have to maintain this. What we call as CIA. C stand for confidentiality, right? I
integrity.
A
Accessibility.
Availability. Availability, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. This is something that we have to take care as a part of cyber security team. As a part of, we have to maintain this confidentiality data, which is confidential, right? Private data, which is confidential, company critical information, proprietary information, user information, such as PII, personal identification information, is a personal, right? Private, should be private, should be confidential. PCI information, payment card industry such as debit card, credit card, user ID, password, right? These all are confidential information, right? That should remain confidential. So being a part of cybersecurity team, we have to ensure that this confidential information should be private, should not be exposed, should not go on the wrong hand, should not be exposed. If any of the server compromised which are holding such data, that means confidentiality has been breached. It's an attack. It's a cyber attack, right? Yes or no? Because confidentiality has been breached. PCI information, your credit card, debit card number, your account number, attacker has taken the access and transfer some money. It's an attack, right? Your last time in India, last year, 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐢𝐴, you talk about one of the biggest top medical college, medical institution, right? Where thousands of VIP people, the data has been compromised, the data has been leaked, right? The data was confidential, right? It isn't compromised, gone on wrong hand. Yes or no? That means it's an attack. Because here, confidence, they have, I mean, that was confidential data, right? It's not something that they have taken money or they have transferred some money. The data was confidential, right? The big people, their name, age, address, phone number, all has been date of birth, or all have been exposed. There are private information. We call as attack. Was it not an attack? Was it not an attack? It was. Yes or no? Because confidentiality had been breached. Yes or no? So being the cybersecurity team, we have to maintain the confidentiality, right? Next is integrity, right? Integrity means integrity.
Data cannot be
Not
changed.
not modified.
Right, intact.
Not modified.
The data should be intact.
Tamper proof. Tamper proof.
Data should be intact means should not be modified, should not be manipulated. If data should be on this format, then it should be always on this format only. Nobody is permitted to modify this data. Means unauthorized access. Unauthorized access, right? If anybody unauthorized access they will get, they will tamper the data, delete the data, modify the actual information. Yes or no? So integrity can be violated if anybody get the unauthorized access. Only authorized people should have access. Yes or no? That means data should be stored on the same format, same data, same way which have been stored previously. Unauthorized people should not be changing the data. Data should not be manipulated. It should be intact. Yes or no? It remain on the same format. That we call as integrity. Means integrity of data should be maintained. If anybody got unauthorized access the data, change the data, breach of integrity. Yes or no? So if anybody get the unauthorized access, change the data, is it not an attack? Is it not an attack? Is it not an attack? Or it's an attack? It's an attack, right?
It's an attack.
Yes or no?
It's an attack.
Because it is happening on cyber digital network, that's why you call a cyber attack. Anything related to digital data breach, we use the word cyber. Cyber cafe, you go to cyber cafe, right? Use the internet word, that's what we call a cyber, right? So anything related to cyber crime, we call it cyber crime. Anything related to internet, digital network, we use the word cyber, right? And it's an attack because this has been breached integrity. Understand? Next is availability. Being the cyber security team, we have to ensure that the respective application, respective resources should be on. Who is this? Is the last warning. If anybody is not muting the mic, I see the noise, I have to remove you from the meeting. So what I was telling, availability, right? We have to ensure that being the part of cyber security team, we have to ensure that the respective application, respective resources should be available all the time for legitimate user, authorized people, authorized audience. If any time, any application which should be available is not available, right? It's a breach of availability. Yes or no? It's a breach of availability because business impact. Yes or no? You understand? For Facebook, you have access, right? If Facebook is down for a few hours, it's a business impact for home Facebook, because user will not be able to log in, and they will not be able to see the ads. The revenue that they used to generate for the ads, they will not be able to get. The people who used to create content, site reels, videos, they will not get money. Yes or no? It's an impact. So Facebook security team has to ensure that Facebook application or any such application would be available all the time. If anybody targeted the Facebook application got down or not able to handle the request, right? It's a breach of availability. Yes or no? Confidentiality, right? Confidentiality, there might be possible that some malware has come, malware has been installed in your system, created the backdoor. Maybe it can dig down the data, right? Or maybe you have got the phishing email saying that there Yaswant, there Yaswant, your company, your IT administrator wants you to change your password because your password is going to expire. In next 30 minutes, your password will expire and you will no longer be able to access any of the systems in the company. So below is the link to reset the password. Once you click on the password, it will ask you to enter your user ID, current password, and new password. Once you click on save, your user ID and credential will go to the attacker, right? The password and credentials are very confidential information, right? Confidentiality has been compromised. So you have to ensure that. So being a cybersecurity team, we have to ensure that phishing emails should not come, right? We should have some devices because email gateway. I'll explain you, so that phishing emails should not be delivered. As a part of cybersecurity team, we'll conduct some security awareness training also to the people, so that we'll tell them if you are receiving any such kind of unsolicited email which you are not intended to receive, do not open, do not respond, report to security process center, right? So various things we'll do to maintain the confidentiality. Yes or no? Next is integrity, right? Integrity, any unauthorized access, it's unauthorized access to the database or the application. Yes or no? You see the high number of login failure happen. Maybe attacker is doing the brute force. I'll tell you what is brute force. Brute force to gain the access, trying the multiple combination of username and password. Yes or no? To gain the unauthorized access. If they cannot gain the unauthorized access, they can change anything, change the data, manipulate the data, delete the data. That we call as integrity, right? So we can create, have certain things in your Facebook or in your, on your any application. You have two-factor authentication. Enter user ID, password, then OTP, or authenticate your device. Yes or no? To maintain the integrity, so that only authorized people should be able to access and should not be change anything. Unauthorized people should not be able to access. Availability, to ensure that the application should be available all the time. There are many attacks such as DDoS attack. Have you heard about this attack, DOS and DDoS? Means availability. DDoS impact the availability of the application. DOS means denial of service, and DDoS stand for
Distributed denial of service.
Denial of service. DDoS stand for distributed denial of service, right? So in this kind of attack, DDoS or DOS, attacker will attack the availability task that you have. Being a cybersecurity, you have to ensure that applications should be available all the time for legitimate user, right? Now attacker will try to impact the availability. For example, you have this Facebook. For example, you have Flipkart.com server, right? Flipkart.com. People use the Flipkart.com to the what purpose you use Flipkart? For example, Amazon, because we have international people here. So Amazon. For what purpose you use Amazon? For what purpose we use Amazon?
Shopping.
Amazon.com. Shopping, right? Amazon.com. We use
e-commerce site.
Shopping, e-commerce we use for shopping. Yes or no? So Amazon will have a SOC security team, right? Application security team. So they will have to ensure, right, that all the people should be able to access. If anybody is not able to access, or set of people, many people, set of people will not able to access Amazon, what they will do? They have to do the shopping, right? They have to do the shopping. That's the reason they are using Amazon.com or Amazon whatever or kya hai .us. Different website they have, right? So if you are using Amazon to shop, right? If anytime Amazon is not working, you have to do the shopping. So what will happen in that case?
Amazon loses its business.
We'll
do
Separate to other
go to
applications.
Flipkart.
Yeah. If
E-commerce
Amazon is not
application.
working, no problem.
Go to Flipkart.
Flipkart,
It will come under the e-commerce application like Flipkart
Yes.
or some other.
Snapdeal,
Meso.
Yes, no, so many applications available. So it's not our loss actually. It's a loss of
Amazon.
Amazon.
Company.
Amazon
Because
loses
customer has been
business.
switched to the other application, other company. So that is the reason Amazon team has to ensure that applications should be available, all the websites should be available all the time, so that the spread traffic should come on the Amazon. People should buy on Amazon only. So what happens is the other companies who are the competitor, right, may target their availability. Yes or no? If Amazon is not available at a certain time, the traffic will switch to the next competitor. For example, I'm not using the name, it's a public it's an example that I have given, right? So Flipkart, right? So the connection will switch to the other website. Yes or no? So any of such companies, can target, right? So that if Amazon is not available, customer base will switch to the other company and they will get the benefit. Yes or no? For example, there's some sale coming, Diwali sale is coming, right? So if Diwali sale time Amazon is down for few hours, they cannot make it unavailable for all the time, right? For few moments, for few hours, few minutes, they can make it down. You understand? It's make big impact. Many crores loss will happen for Amazon, but it's down for 1 hour or 2 hours. Yes or no? So these kind of competitor people will make this, because in this kind of in case of unavailability, they are not hijacking the information, right? They're not compromising the information, they're not stealing the information, right? They're just impacting the availability. Yes or no? In this case, this third party, other shopping companies may attack this Amazon so that it will not be available, right? So what happens is this attack is called a DDoS attack or denial of service. Because first DOS means, in this case, how we can target this company. We can have one system, for example, and we can send a flood of connections to target the companies, to target the application, their server or their bandwidth will have some threshold. Particular application have the resources, it can serve up to 1 lakh user, for example. 1 lakh user at the same time, 1 lakh communication, 1 lakh packet at the same time can handle, right? If 1 lakh packet is being initiated by this computer only, continuously flood of packets, right? Flood of traffic, flood of correction requests will be sent by this computer only. What will happen for other people who are accessing?
They cannot access.
They cannot access. Website is busy, application is busy. Kindly try after some time. We are not able to serve your request at this time.
Service down.
Kindly try after some time. Maybe the bandwidth, because they have also taken the internet connection, right? Pipe. Yes or no? So if this pipe will have some limitation, if all the pipe bandwidth is occupied, internet bandwidth is occupied, other people will not be able to reach. So one is bandwidth. Second thing, the application resources. There are memory, CPU that you are using to serve the request. It will be overutilized. Resulting, maybe it is not responding to other people because it's already resources are choked, bandwidth are choked, or there are some chances overutilized.
Make server down.
You have some capacity, right? Everybody has some capability, some capacity, right?
Yes,
If I keep some weight on your head, right? You will be here sometime, you will be here, right?
Going down and
So the
crash.
server may get down also. Yes or no? Server may get down also in that case. So that is called a DOS attack, denial of services. Mostly there are multiple type of like TCP flood, UDP flood, TCP have one connection. UDP, in case of UDP, it will send continuously packet, UDP packet, continuous flood of packet, flood of packet. That we call UDP based DOS or DDoS, same will come. The only difference is I will tell you what is difference on DOS and DDoS. In case of UDP based DOS or DDoS, it will send a flood of traffic, flood of connection and target. In case of TCP based connection, in case of TCP uses the TCP connection oriented protocol, right? So it will send multiple SYN packets, and resulting once the server will receive SYN packet, it will wait for it will send the acknowledge. Once SYN packet received, it will respond with acknowledge, but till the time it will wait for stipulated time to get the acknowledge. It will wait for SYN ACK, right? It will send SYN ACK, it will wait for ACK, right? But in case of attack, DOS, DDoS, acknowledgement never comes. In this case, server is still waiting and choke the bandwidth, choke the resources to serve this request, but response is never coming, right? For example, 0.5 microsecond is waiting time. So 0.5 microsecond, it is waiting for all the requests, resulting server resources bandwidth got choked. This is called TCP based, TCP half open connection. Half open means once it receives the ACK, then only connection will get established, right? Right now it is half open connection. In three-way handshake, third one will be half open. It's not fully completed, right? It's called a TCP half open connection. In that case also, the server will get occupied and I will get impacted. So now DDoS is the initial time we had this kind of attack called DDoS attack. In case of DDoS, attacker use the one system only, use some DOS software and generate a lot of connections, right? But by single system, you can easily come to know from the firewall which particular IP, which connection are coming in. You can easily block the IP in the firewall. Yes or no? That's the reason this attack is end of life. Means no attacker will use DOS. Instead of that, they will use what? Instead of DOS, what they will use? What they will use? DDoS.
Compromised bot.
It's again denial of service only, but distributed. Right?
More number of machines, infected machines can be used in it.
Yes, that means not from one machine, they will initiate the attack from different
multiple machines.
Even from different geolocation, right? From India, Australia, South Africa, different geolocation they will initiate. Get it, mind? Right? In this case, it is difficult to identify and difficult to block. Understand? Yes or no? Because it is not a single IP, maybe 100 of or 1,000 of IPs are targeting your server. Then you'll not come to know whether particular IP, because at the same time attacker is also attacking, at the same time your user also accessing. If you block all the IPs, again attacker motive got fulfilled. But same attacker wants, so that he will not be able to serve your customer. If you block all the connections, somebody will you, okay, we'll take the server away, we'll block all the IPs. Then what you're doing? You're fulfilling the objective of attacker, right? Same attacker wanted. Attacker did not want to compromise your data or steal your information. It just wanted to make the application available. If you are blocking all the IP in the firewall or making the server away from the network, that means you're fulfilling the objective of the attacker. Yes or no? So taking the server away from the network is not a solution. So in this case, it is very difficult because thousands of different IP will come, right? In this case, I explained you in the video also. That's a homework for you. You watch that video. What is DDoS, DOS and DDoS, and how we can, what action we can take if your network or your application is impacted by the DDoS attack. And that's a video available on the YouTube in-depth video.
Sir, in 𝐓𝐫𝐚𝐢𝐧𝐢, what type was attack done last year? Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sir. You told in 𝐓𝐴MS the attacker done the attacks. So which type of attack done by the attacker?
Where?
𝐓𝐴MS.
𝐓𝐴MS, it's a data leakage. It's a compromise. You read all information over the internet. You read all the information.
Okay.
The internet. The interview question is what is DOS and DDoS, right? And what action we can take, right? If your application or company impacted by DDoS, whole thing I have explained on the video. So what I was telling you is it's difficult, right? If you have thousands of different IPs, continuous flood of traffic is coming, it's very difficult to identify whether particular IP legitimate or part of DDoS attack. Yes or no? It's difficult to identify. In this case, if you see such kind of attack is happening in your company, in this case, you can raise the case with the ISP, Internet Service Provider. Internet service providers are using anti-DDoS tool because these anti-DDoS tools are very costly. Maybe all the companies are not having, but especially company whose business it totally depend on this website like Amazon, Flipkart, they must be having anti-DDoS devices. But not all the companies are having anti-DDoS because these are very costly devices. So ISP definitely will be having. If your company does not have anti-DDoS devices, you can raise the case with the ISP and inform them, right? So anti-DDoS such as Arbor Peak Flow, CenturyLink, right? These are some of the anti-DDoS devices. So anti-devices have some special mechanism to identify which sources are sending continuous half of one connection. Yes or no? They can block based on the country. You have business in India, for example, connections are coming from USA, from South Africa, other countries. Based on that, they can block it, right? So they will have multiple mechanisms to identify such traffic, right? But any company can be attacked with the DDoS.
So how does the attack happen? From distributed places, different
Distributed.
places.
What happens is, let me tell you that in distributed attack, distributed denial of services, you understand there are multiple computers will be involved. Maybe 100 of computers, 1,000 of computers are involved, from which attacker is sending these packets to hit to the company. Now, how the attacker will get 100,000 of computers? Is attacker is having big lab, big company from which he is running this attack? Is it?
Compromised computers, zombie computers.
Right. It's not their own computer. Attacker initiate such attack from the compromised computers, right? And the network or group of compromised computer we call as anybody?
Zombie computers.
We call as botnet. We call as
Bot.
right? Let me come to the board. For example, चलो अब कहां से कहां आ गए, but all are important. For example, this person name is Sachin. Sachin has received an email saying that Sachin, you got an offer from Tata Communication. You got an offer from Tata Communication. Now, in order to accept, kindly download the offer letter and sign it and send it to us. You got an offer from Tata Communication. Now, Sachin has used the logic that I have never applied for any job. I have not given any interview for Tata Communication. How did I got the offer letter? But since he was aggressively looking for a job change, he got happy, oh, we might be somewhere he got. He did not use the logic that he had not given the interview. How did he got the offer letter? Yes or no? With an excitement. So he has opened that offer letter. It was Word file. He has opened that. He did not realize that it was actually not an offer letter, right? It was a phishing email that he has received. Phishing email, right? On that, it has an attachment. It was actually a malware. Malware means full form of malware. Spelling यही होती है ना malware की?
Malicious software.
Malicious software. Malware is nothing but a software, but has been designed for malicious use. That's what you call it. Malicious software means malware. It's a software, but has been developed for malicious use, right? That's the reason we call as malware. Mal means malicious and ware means software.
Like Trojan horse?
It's a malicious software. Can be viruses, Trojan, right? And ransomware, crypto mining software, right?
Worm.
Adware.
Form, right?
Spyware.
Adware, right? Spyware.
Brute force
Are the all this type of malware. Malicious. So any software which has been designed for malicious use, we call as malware. What is malware? What is malware? And what are different type of malware? How they work? And what action you should take if your system is infected with malware, right? I'm giving a brief idea here, but I have explained you in detail in one of my YouTube video. What is malware? What are the different type of malwares? What are the different type of malwares? Different type of malwares. If our system got compromised with malware, if our system has been compromised with malware, if our system is compromised with malware, what kind of action we can take? That's a homework for you, right?
Compromise.
What action we can take if any of our system or our network is being compromised with malware? What action we can take if our system is compromised with malware? What kind of action we should take, right? So DOS, DDoS, and what is malware is a homework for you for these two videos. Once you watch it, right? If you learn it, comment what you have learned. Okay, on the video. So, typical. Let me give a brief idea about malware, right? So I was telling you that he did not realize that it was actually not a Java file; it was phishing email. This email we call a phishing email. Something looks fishy. We use this word, right? Something looks fishy. Fishy means something looks abnormal. है ना? Something look fishy. Yep. Something smell fishing. Something look. We use this word fishy, right? Fishy. Why? Because fish. The word is taken from fish, right? Different smell. Means it's not a normal smell, right? Fishy. And for situation also we use the word fishy. Yes or no? Means something is abnormal. Something is like unusual. Yes or no? Similarly, phishing email means not legitimate email, not normal email. They have been intended to send to you to compromise some information. You can upload some critical information, or it may have some malware attachment. System will get infected, and they can take the remote access, or they can fulfill all their different objectives. Those email we call as phishing email. You understand the word fishy, phishing, right? So that's the email we call a phishing email. So he has received an email, actually phishing email, that he received job offer. It having one Word document. With the excitement, he's opened that job offer. It was actually malware. Once he opened that malware, he did not realize that it is actually malware. That is software. Once you double click open it, it got installed in your system. Malware means malicious software has been installed in your system. Right? And now you know there are multiple type of malwares. You have ransomware, you have Trojan horse, you have crypto mining software, you have you have keyloggers, right? There are multiple type of
spyware.
Yeah, I have explained you all the detail of different type of malwares. Some of that type of malwares on that video. You'll come to know. For example, now if it is a Trojan, if it is a type of Trojan, in that case, the software means malware will get installed in the system and it will try to create the backdoor. This Trojan is a software, right? Malware means software, has been scripted in such a way, has been designed in such a way, it's got a script. Once it will get installed in the system, it will create the backdoor. It will try to create the backdoor. That means it has some certain string. String means either URL or IP address of the attacker command and control server, right? Attacker CC server means command and control server. It has an IP address that, okay, once it gets installed, connect to me on this particular IP address and port number. Of course, any service requires port number, right? So on which port number it has to communicate and which IP it has been configured, attacker command and control server IP address and port number. Once it gets installed, it gives the control to attacker command and control server. Now attacker is controlling your machine. Attacker can install any further software on this. Now it's based on objective of attacker. Either attacker want to exfiltrate some data. Exfiltrate means it can dig down and check what data you have, what information you have. It can exfiltrate means forward to the attacker, this software. Yes or no? It can be a ransomware. Means when it can install, it can encrypt, it can lock all your file, most of the extension of the file. It can lock and ask for the ransom. Understand ransom word, right? After kidnap happens, ransom call has came. Ransom means asking for money on behalf of kidnapping. Similarly, this is kidnapping only. This is again a kidnapping only. Attacker has locked your files, important file, and asking for the ransom. Yes or no? Kidnap your son and asking for the ransom, some money, right? That kind of attack we call a ransomware attack. You get an email, you open that file, most of the files of the system will get encrypted. Some critical file you no longer will be able to access because those are encrypted. Attacker will ask you, there is some HTML file. Once you open, return, it's a Petya ransomware, it's a Locky ransomware, it's a WannaCry ransomware. All your file has been encrypted with 2048-bit encryption key. If you want your data back, then pay 1 Bitcoin. Previously, when I used to work, they used to work 100 Bitcoins. I told you that time, I think, right? One of the sessions, no? They used to ask 100 Bitcoin that time, because that time Bitcoin were not having that much of value as of now, what currently is having, right? Now they're asking 0.1 Bitcoin or 1 Bitcoin. 1 Bitcoin is also a big amount. One system, they're asking around 0.1 Bitcoin for a particular system, one system. They used to ask 100 Bitcoins before. And they'll give the option to pay using this link, to send the person on this account. Multiple payment option they will give. You can pay using cryptocurrency, right? Multiple payment. If this does not work, then this work. If this does not work, then open this form, fill this form, and then payment option. You'll have multiple payment option they will give. Multiple payment terms. I believe they will start asking now through EMI. That is again left. People will not be able to, okay, you pay EMI. So we'll unlock slowly few files. This much you paid, okay, the 5 will unlock. And again you pay EMI, the 10 file will unlock. Just kidding. So this is kind of ransomware, right? They can lock your file, right? They can exfiltrate your data, right? They can install some crypto mining application, crypto mining software, crypto mining, right? You understand crypto mining, crypto calculation. Cryptocurrency calculation is very complex calculation, right? If you can do the calculation, you can earn money. Now, attacker will not install any malware to hijack your information, to exfiltrate your information, to lock your system. They will use your system to do the crypto calculation, because attacker have one system, for example, how much money he can earn in doing the crypto mining, right? He need multiple systems to earn more. So attacker will do some kind of attack to many of the computer and install crypto mining application software to do the crypto calculation. Yes or no? Now, if instead of one computer, he can use thousands of computers, earn more money. Yes or no? Because cryptocurrency calculation means crypto mining is very complex and takes a lot of resources, a lot of memory and CPU. Yes or no? One system is not enough. So they will compromise a system and do the crypto mining. So whenever you see suddenly, see symptoms of most of the malware, suddenly your system will start getting hang, start working slow, right? Because this crypto mining software will take a lot of CPU and memory utilization. So suddenly you will see you have not installed new software, but suddenly your system is working slow or getting hang. And once you go in the task manager, you will see, you understand, right? You should be aware of that. The reason for your system to work slow, right, getting hang, that means your resources are being high utilized. Your memory, what are the resources? Memory, CPU, and disk. Something your disk filled 100%, 95% the time also may be slow, but majority of time CPU and memory. Memory means RAM, right? So suddenly you would get hung. So you can just look at task manager. Go on the taskbar, right click and click on task manager if you have never seen it. and see what is the current memory utilization and CPU utilization. And you can identify which task is running right now, which are eating more memory, more CPU. Yes or no? So if your system is running and getting slow, you can go in the task manager and check. There's a homework for you if you have never seen task manager, right? There might be some people here who are non-technical, they have never seen, right? So either you can Google it how to you have never seen. Otherwise, you have to go in the taskbar and right click and go in the task manager, right? To see, you can see it. Oh, okay, this application is running, taking more of the CPU and memory utilization, right? Then you can right click and kill that, end that task. We call as kill that task, right? If you see some application you have not launched, we are not using right now, but taking more memory, more CPU, right? We can kill that task, means end that task. So unnecessarily memory and CPU will get released. So that's one of the symptoms of your system. If you see, if system is being compromised, some malware has been installed, and resulting is taking a lot of memory and CPU. Understand? That's a symptoms to identify initial level, right? So crypto mining, in case of, it can do the cryptocurrency, right? It can be a keylogger to hijack your credentials. Keylogger application is malicious software. Keylogger, whatever keys you enter, right, it will record and take the screenshot and send it to attacker. Keylogger, right? Necessarily we should not use any public, internet, not internet only, public systems to access your banking credential to your Gmail, Hotmail, or your social media, right? It might have a keylogger application installed. So what? It is not taking the screenshot of your system, because in the screenshot is it ****, right, password, but it is actually recording your keys. This is called a keylogger. Logger means record. Logger means record, right? We call logs. System generate the logs. Logs means record, and keylogger means key, and logs means record. Every keys you are clicking, right, is being recorded. What password you have written? Yes, one @12344 has, right? It's been recorded. The user ID password has been recorded and forwarded to the attacker. Get in mind? So it has multiple objectives, right? So after once attacker, this system has given the command and control to the attacker, attacker can deploy further software. Get in mind? Whatever software he want to deploy, whatever work he is doing, you see the multiple work he can do, right? In the video, I have given some more options, right? Some more scenarios. So in this case, multiple things you can do, right? Now you are working on the system. You are not doing anything, means you are doing your work, but something else is also happening on a system. Yes or no? You are not doing that, right? Your system, that means your system is behaving like a robot. Robotically it's behaving, right? Robot means not human. Somebody else, some machine is doing something, right? Robot. Your system is behaving like a robot, and short form of robot is bot. My system has a bot. That bot which are behaving like this, being getting the control, we call as bot. But that means your system has a bot. Bot is a short form of robot. Yes or no? Robot means bot. It's a bot. Get in mind? So once this system is getting compromised and the bot is controlling your machine, working on the system, now attacker gain the access, right? Now attacker may try to get the access to the other computer. May a possible attacker send such bulk message, phishing email to multiple people, but now, for example, this person has opened it. Now attacker gain the access. Now may possible that attacker is a part of the system, is a part of your company. Attacker gain the access. Now attacker will try to get the control of other machines. Yes or no? Attacker will try to gain the access of other machines, right? Now how the attacker will gain the access? Because this user has not received an email or has not opened yet, right? So attacker will try to gain the unauthorized access by doing some brute force activities. Brute force means it's very easy, right? To getting the username of any company is very easy. Most of the company will use first name dot last name username, or half first name, half last name. Yes or no? Sulabh.misra, right? Or Sulabh, SULAMISHR, something like that, right? So getting the name through LinkedIn, social media is very easy, right? In this case, attacker will deploy, after compromising the system, attacker may deploy certain brute force software. In brute force software, what we can do is, what you can do in this software, for example, you can put one username, for example, Sachin username, he will put, right? Now this brute force software has a big library of passwords. Huge library of different passwords, right? You have different password. Now you take the you enter the IP of this system, and now this software can make the Sachin username constant and drive with multiple password, multiple combination. This password, no, this password, this password, this thousand of different attempt within a fraction of second, within a minute. 1,000 times more than that. You can set the frequency here. Slow attacker faster, right? How much you send? 1,000 per minute. You can set the frequency, how frequent it has to try.
Sir, one doubt, sir.
1 minute. I'll take your question. Let me explain you, then I'll take the question. So similarly, so here one username and multiple password. Similarly, it can also set one password and multiple username. Vice versa also can be done. Maybe let me check in all the user. Maybe if anybody has set the password welcome@1234. Yes or no? So one user with a different password or different password, different user with one password. Vice versa. For example, Sachin, it is showing username multiple combination of password, right? So now what will happen? Every time you use the machine Sachin and multiple password, if any of the password username password condition works, what will happen? What will happen? Attacker will gain access
to the system.
Attacker will gain the access to the machine. Yes or no? This kind of attack is called a brute force attack. And this attack is right now happening on Windows. We can call it Windows brute force attack, right? Brute force attack is an attack where attacker try to gain the unauthorized access to any application or any operating system which has the login form. This kind of attack can happen on only any system, in your mobile also, in your Windows machine, Linux machine, any application, Amazon, Facebook, Insta, any application or machine device, right, which has the login form can be attacked with brute force. Yes or no? Brute force is the process of getting the unauthorized access of a machine. Yes or no? You call it brute force. Trying to, and attacker will try multiple combination of username and password. That's the reason. And this is one of the incident. Once you be part of SOC team, this is one of the incident. Like Windows brute force attack has been detected. Linux brute force attack has been detected, right? In this case, what will happen is, see, all the digital devices, other network device, security device, servers, application, databases, whenever activity happens, I told you last time, right? They record the activity in the form of logs. They record the activity in the form of logs, right? So whenever this compromised machine, the particular user Sachin will try to access this machine, first time access, log will generate, okay, from this particular source IP, particular person is trying to log in this particular destination IP with the username Sachin at this particular time, and action is logging got failed because of bad username and password. Even within a second, within a minute, is trying 1,000 times, within a minute, very frequent, right? But every time log will get generate, the Sachin username had tried to log in this machine, login get failed, login get failed, login get failed. Yes or no? So in the same in the SOC, we have the rule. We have an alert. If, for example, if within a short period of time, for example, 1 minute, if we see more than 50 login failure from particular username, we should get an alert, because this can be a brute force attack or brute force attempt. Because legitimate user will try 2, 3 times, 4 times, a few hundred of times, means high number of login failure attempt within short period of time. It can be the brute force attempt. Means somebody is trying to gain the unauthorized access. This is one of the frequently fires incident. When you work on the SOC team, work on the SIEM tool, right? You know, this incident gives the work of SOC team for SOC team. Majority of the time, we'll see brute force attempt, brute force, high number of Windows login failure, high number of Linux login failure, particular application login failure. That in mind. That means attacker, this is the bot. Now attacker want to compromise other machines, right? Yes or no? This is a bot, and the group of compromised machine we call a botnet. Network of bot is called as botnet. If attacker gain the access to this machine, then it's a network of bot. We call as botnet. What is the botnet? Is the group or network of compromised computers. We call as botnet. If you want to write, you can write it. Somebody in sometime interview asked what is botnet. Botnet is nothing but the group or network of compromised computers. Group or network of compromised computer, we call it botnet. Yes or no?
Sir,
yes.
I have one question.
Yes.
This brute force attacks, like you are saying, it points thousands of user ID password. So
Correct.
nowadays in all of the organization,
I was expecting this question.
We block the user ID after 5 wrong attempts.
I was expecting this question. Right, that's correct. That even if you watch that video, I'm going to go to the homework. What is brute force attack? Right? I explain you in detail. You write this question first. What is brute force?
I have a question.
One moment. Just load down first the homework that I'm giving to you. Just note down first that. What is brute force attack? What is brute force attack?
Is that brute force?
Brute force. What is brute force? Right. So this video is there. What is brute force attack and what action has to be taken? I have explained you in detail. Right. If you see the brute force attack in your company, what investigation, what action you should take. Right. So I have explained you in that video on brute force. That is a homework for you. Right. You go through the video and comment what you have learned, if you have learned. Right. So so the question was, in case of Windows, for example, in case of Windows, everybody knows that in case of 3 attempts or 5 attempts, companies have policies now, lockout policies, right? Account will get locked out. Account will get locked out in case 5 attempts will happen, right? But there are some cases where we have been given some exceptions, such as service account is. There will be many accounts we call a service account. See what happens is service account is mostly used by any application, software, any script, right? To log in on the system from back end. From back, not front end, means enter. So, for example, your account has been created. Yaswant account has been created. Now, Yaswant will take the remote access or log in directly on the application. This account is called interactive account. Interactive means directly you can interact with the application. Non-interactive account we call a service account. Means any script and application can log in from back end. Means not front end, not taking the remote access. Back end they can log in. So there are certain scenarios in the company where some exception, the application has a requirement that there should not be lockout policies. So we have to give certain exception to certain account. Sarad, we have given some certain exception. We might have to give certain exception to some of the service account where we have to, we have to not implement lockout policies. So most of the time, this brute force attempt, the attack means successful attack chances are there for service account, right? But alert will come for normal user also, because very possible that attacker is not aware, right? Attacker is not aware. That's the reason this Windows brute force attempt is a low severity attack, because we know that attack is not possible because we have lockout policies. But it does not mean that you will not receive this. It does not mean that you will not receive it because attacker is not aware that you have lockout policies. If you see for username Sachin, hide them, because it does not mean that 5 account logout will happen, then there is no fail login. It will still, account will get fail, and you may receive thousands of fail login attempts. So even though we know that account will not compromise because we have account policies, lockout policies. But this is very important to investigate. Yes or no? Because especially in case of Windows, because all your Windows servers having private IP address. Means attacker cannot try to log in to your private system from outside. If you see high number of Windows login failure, if it is actually suspicious at an attack, maybe attacker is already inside. Means certain machine is already compromised. That's the reason attacker is trying to compromise other machine. Even though brute force is not possible, but it's very important to find out who is the attacker, how the system get compromised. Yes or no? That's the objective of this particular case. Even we have brute force is not possible in case of normal user account, right? But we should know the attacker is inside, right? Only possible for service of most of the service account where non-lockout policy has been implemented for certain reasons, certain exception. Got it?
Sir, why it is required for service accounts to give exception? Any reason?
There are certain reasons. Might be every time it got locked out, right? Then again they have unlocked the account. There's applications available. You see the different teams. Different team, they have different requirement for that. They will take the exception. Sometimes they will take the non-expiry password. Non-expiry password do not get expire. Password account should not get locked out. Got it? So this is what I was explaining you about. Brute force, right? So once attacker gain the access, right? I'm not saying that attacker will always create the botnet like this only, right? If multiple people have received the email and they open it, it's a group of compromised computer with the botnet, right? And just to give you an example that through brute force also attacker may gain the access and compromise other machines, right? However, may be possible that out of 1 lakh of user, 1,000 user or 100 user have opened that email and their system got compromised, right? The botnet is nothing but the group of compromised computer. So now attacker is not, so attacker is initiating the DDoS attack or DOS attack by the botnet. Get I mean? DOS attack or DDoS attack is, sorry, DDoS is initiated by the botnet. By using the botnet means group of compromised computer. Attacker is not using their own attacker is not using their own computer, right? They are using compromised computer that we call as botnet. Yes or no? They may have group of 1,000 computers. And now you can buy a DDoS service. You can subscribe for DDoS service. For example, if Flipkart wants to make the Amazon server available, will the Flipkart will be having their own attacker team of attackers? No, they do not have. Now, how they can do that? They can buy a DDoS service. The service available, DDoS service. Yes or no? If you go on the dark web, you can see, but dark web is not accessible in India. You want to access, you have to go through VPN or some other country's VPN. So dark web, all the leaked data, compromised data will be available on dark web for sale. Similarly, attack as a service, cyber attack as a service, DDoS as a service, right, is also available. If you see, if you want to buy you want to have subscribe for DDoS as a service, they will have multiple plans. They will have multiple plans. Like any service you buy, you have multiple plans, right? Okay, from how many computers you want to start it, and how much will be packet per second, particular computer, right? Till how much time, for how much time, right? They have different plans, which you can use to initiate. Means you are not going to initiate yourself. You can buy a DDoS service. You can buy malwares also for phishing campaign. You can buy malwares. You can buy data also. If you want to attack, right, some companies, that company data you want, you can see on the dark web might be available. Get it? So that is how it's a marketplace. Dark web is nothing but the marketplace.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, was vulnerability assessment only real-time how to done by scanning, how to identify by, how to identify?
What? Your voice was not clear. Come again.
How to identify the vulnerability assessment by scanning only on real time?
Of course, scanning only, vulnerability scanning tool you have, right? Because manually you cannot do, right? So many computers, so many devices you have, right? Manually you go, okay, let me check which version. Let me search on Google. Adobe Reader 7.5. Let me check on the Google. It is vulnerable. Okay, then it's vulnerable. I note down. You're not going to do that because it's not your own one system only, right? You have thousands of systems, thousands of machines. So you can't check whole system manually. It will take days. So then what you can do is you can do it through, you have to do it through vulnerability scanning tools, right? That means it's kind of a script, right? Scanning means program, right? It has some script which will scan continuously, right? Got it? So
Okay.
third homework you have written, right? What is brute force attack, right? On which I have explained you.
Malware and ransomware and how to mitigate. Difference
Same.
between malware and ransomware and how it is mitigated.
Ransomware is the part of malware only. It's one type of malware, ransomware. There is no difference between malware. There is no comparison between the your malware and you're talking about what is the difference between you're talking about मैं अभी जंबल नहीं देता but ransomware is one type of malware. Ransomware is one type of malware, right? Just few minutes back only I have told you, right? Malware, then I talk about ransomware, keylogger, all these type of malwares only. I mean, what action we take? So I explain you.
How to mitigate ransomware.
If you are the part of this regular training, on one of the session I'll be explaining you full detail. We'll take one of the high security that are hundred of computer got compromised, received an email, from where they have received an email, how many people has opened that email, and to investigation and analysis will be covering it here, right? How to what are the action we have to take? We have to check the logs, how the email came, or whether it has come through web, proxy log, email gateway log, right? All different investigation we are going to do in case of ransomware, which is one of the high severity critical incident.
Okay.
SAST and DAST also will come under the vulnerability.
What?
Assessment. SAST and DAST, like static code analysis or dynamic analysis and static analysis.
That is malware analysis. That's a vulnerability assessment. It's a malware analysis. You want to dig down and check more information about the malware, right? That is the malware analysis. Dynamic means by executing the malware. Static means without executing the malware, right? You want to dig down in the malware. That is the type of static and dynamic, right? You got a malware. You want to see, right? You can create one sandbox, right? And keep the malware and run it. After running it, you can see the behavior of the malware, where it is trying to connect, what executing, then what action it is taking. That is called as dynamic analysis of the malware. Static means checking through VirusTotal or some other ways, checking the behavior of the malware, what kind of malware it is. That is called as static analysis. Okay, so
sir, is that covered in regular class?
Which one? Ransomware?
Static and malware analysis. Static and dynamic
generally, malware analysis will not be the part of SOC team. Whatever action required from SOC team in case of malware, that will cover. Okay, for static and malware, I have created one document. It will share with the people, regular people in the regular SOC training. Phishing analysis and malware analysis document I have created with the screenshot, right? That you can go through to understand more deep down.
Thank you.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what's the permanent solution for the malware attack? So, what are the conclusion mainly?
See, I have covered it.
Only compromise is the only solution, or any other thing to have to control and measure?
I will be covering on the part of regular class. I'll be covering this. What action has to be taken in case of ransomware, whatever any malware comes. What is the first action for any kind of malware is isolate the machine from the network. In case you come to know it is malware, right? Install, maybe through firewall logs, you come to know it is trying to connect outside through firewall log. You will see the IP address is through blacklisted IP address is trying to communicate, or some well-known malware report is trying to communicate. You come to know it's a malware, system has been compromised, or through some antivirus alert, you come to know it's a malware and machine has been compromised. If you come to know machine has been compromised malware, first action is to isolate the machine from the network. Then you do the further investigation. How did the malware has came inside the network? Check the email logs, check the proxy, web access logs, right? We'll be covering here how we can check the email logs and email gateway and all. I was supposed to cover WAF today, web application firewall, but we spent our whole time on this important discussion. That is again an important discussion, but today's time was gone on this discussion. So tomorrow means
Sir,
Monday we'll start with we'll cover the FAP and other security tools such as email gateway,
Sir.
firewall, email gateway, proxy. Right?
Sir.
When I'm taking, one thing keep in mind, when I'm in the flow, when I'm in the speaking, please do not try to stop. When I take the pause, you have the option, right, to ask any question. But do not interrupt in flow. Okay.
Can you explain the integrity like with example? So you already explained the integrity. So can you give one more example to the integrity?
I have given, right. Integrity means data should not be manipulated, right?
Yeah.
Whatever data, for example, see, for example, you have in your system, you have some client data on the Excel sheet. Client data you have, right? Some system has been compromised, right? Now somebody has come and changed the client data. You have created a program, right? Now attacker has targeted the machine and changed the the commands on the program, change the the language in the program, right? Means data is not the same format, it's different format. Integrity has been. Yes or no? So data integrity means how the data has been kept should be the same format, should not be modified, should not be manipulated by unauthorized people. If this is my program, I want to manage, of course I should be able to. But if someone else manipulate my data, integrity has been breached. Yes or no?
Okay.
That time we create a hash code.
Yeah.
Huh?
Hash code.
That is not that is a different thing. Hash values will get changed definitely, but we will come to know data has been manipulated, right? So that should not be manipulated. Okay, so we'll wind up the day. We'll connect on Monday at the same time. Thank you for
just last one question.
Yes.
If we insert a USB which is having malware, what action we need to take?
If
we insert the USB.
USB generally, one moment, just hold on 1 minute. Just hold on 1 minute. See, malware, there are three possibilities. How any malicious software comes to a network, there are three ways. Either through USB, means anybody plug in the USB drive. Second thing through email, and third thing through web. You may access some website, and from there you download a malware, right? You search sometimes some software, you're searching some video downloader, video player is being downloaded, Opera Mini, UC browser are getting downloaded, right? All these are malwares or infected with malwares. Get I mean? Sometimes some cross-site scripting, that is cross-site scripting. Sometimes legitimate website also, you will see some kind of links, download video downloader, download this one. These are injected script. Sometimes this is not hosted by a website, their own. Website is infected with cross-site scripting. Attacker can inject a Java script on the legitimate website if they have vulnerabilities. That kind of attack called cross-site scripting. Cross-site scripting means in website cross scripting can be injected, JavaScript, right? Some pop-up will come, video downloader, download in the link, this link. If you click on that link, the software will get downloaded. That is actually not a legitimate software that you are supposed to download. It's a malware. Get in mind? Sometimes pop-up you've seen, right? Pop-up, video download, this download. Why they're getting popular? They're pushing you to click on this. Yes or no? So throw some sites, some malicious site, you might end up downloading some malware. Email, phishing email came and you end up downloading some malwares. USB having some malwares, you insert it and get into the network, right? That's the reason USB specialists are blocked. In almost all the companies, you see, USB access has not been enabled. Yes, because we don't have control. Something which comes through email, something which comes through web, we may have certain control in the network. But if you insert the USB drive, it's not coming from network, right? Through firewall or internet. Your firewall will not come in the picture. As well, other device that we will discuss tomorrow will not come in the picture. Directly, it will reach to the endpoint. See, all your firewall, your proxy, email gateway is to secure endpoint so that before endpoint means your operating system, your server, your system, so that before reaching to your endpoint means system servers, we have different security guards, right? But what will happen that on your home you have a window, right? Or in your company you have certain window from opposite side and you open and get somewhere inside. People has not come from gate, right? It came from outside, from just from behind. That's the work of USB. That is the reason there is no windows. There is no windows on the company on the back end side, right? There should not be any window. That's why USBs are blocked, right? So to regulate the traffic, what website you access, what email you access, from which also malware come, we'll discuss these devices tomorrow, how we can regulate. At a point? Clear?
Yeah. Sir, endpoint security is there, right, sir? For to detect.
For USB.
Endpoint security means antivirus, that also we'll discuss here, right? Antivirus is endpoint security. In case your network device is not able to detect and malware reach to the endpoint. In cyber security, always consider multi-layer of security. For example, at your home, you have gate, people came inside. In living room also, you have gate, still people crossed it. They went to the bedroom, still you did not take the unauthorized people. Then you have wardrobe, inside also you have locker. Yes or no? Somebody in case reached to your bedroom and you have in your locker also, but still you have lock, right? That is called endpoint security. Reach to your wardrobe, right? Now you had access money, means attacker reach to your endpoint, means your system where you have all the information, right? The same work is done by the antivirus. So in the network, you have multi-layer of security. If a attacker across the network, right? Then now endpoint. Understand? Thank you guys. Thank you for joining. We'll see you tomorrow on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
बंद कर दें, ठंड लग रही है.